Well, what is up, all of you Ugnots and Jawas, and welcome back to another episode of Mando Talk. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Keller, and joining me again this week is Zach Horvath. Zach Horvath, first of all, how was your week, and how are you doing?
Week, not great. I'm doing good though. It's the weekend. I'm here to talk some Star Wars again. I just love being here. I love talking to you. Love talking to the community. Discord's been hot. I don't want to jump to our plugs too early, but
Do it,
we
man. Hit them all. Hit them
all
all.
right. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Mando Talk. Go there. We've got polls we're going to talk about today if you want to get in on that. But also Discord. We've started getting into Bad Batch spoilers in the Discord, which is sick. It gives us a good place to talk on Fridays before, we drop this not on Friday. So it gives us just a place to talk to you guys. So come on over there. Let us know what you think each week. It's really nice. And it's been fun, man. I can't wait to hear again. We don't talk before the show, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about again this week.
Yeah, so we are going to get to our Bad Batch episode 4 spoiler discussion, just like we did last week. But again, bear with us. We're going to talk about some off the top news in the Star Wars galaxy. But hopefully you did, and I will throw this one more plug out there. Hopefully you did get a little bit of Bad Batch episode 4 spoiler talk from me, though, at this point. I am now going to continue to try to do the quick takeaway reaction spoilers on YouTube's every Friday. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get that content. Maybe that will help the flow of our episodes go a little bit better. I know last week's we kind of hit that hour and a half mark almost. We're going to try our best this week, hang tight, buckle in with us if we go long. Just have fun with us. We're just having a lot of fun talking to each other. We hope that you're enjoying listening to all of this. And let us know if you want us to maybe change our coverage. We're always here for recommendations. We love
Yeah.
your input. We would love to hear it. Now, let's get to these off the top topics. And the first one is focused on a Twitter poll question. So, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, John Krasinski's A Quiet Place Part 2, Joe Wright's The Woman in the Window, and Taylor Sheridan's Those Who Wish Me Dead are currently, on Rotten Tomatoes at least, the top streaming and theatrical releases. And they all have one thing in common. They are all rated R. So, what I wanted to discuss is, do we ever expect to see an R-rated Star Wars project? And that's what our poll was about. Zach, you want to share those poll results?
Oh yeah. So as Keller said, Twitter at Mando Talk. Join in on the polls, and you could get your opinion heard on the show here. Looking like like he said, the question was, do you ever expect to see an R-rated Star Wars project? 85% says no, needs to be for kids. 14% said yes, why not try it? Keller, where do you stand on this?
Okay. My heart, actually, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my heart or brain, but part of me wants to see an R-rated project because why not? But because Star Wars at its core, as George has always said, and as Dave Filoni has always said, is for kids, that's where I land. But I do know, and you might fall on this, I do know Disney Plus gives us an avenue to explore things. So I'm really interested to see where you fall, but I'll go ahead and say this. I want to see an R-rated Star Wars project. I think it'd be great, but I don't think we're gonna see it because I do think it's more so for kids. Zach, what about you?
So this is a great question. First of all, I voted, and I voted yes. I voted yes.
I'm honestly not surprised.
because no, one big reason is the ever. Do you ever? I don't know. I'd like to think that we could get to a place where R doesn't mean, chopping heads off and bloody and crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe there are for a certain reason. Maybe they drop an F-bomb, a couple F-bombs or something, or maybe it is really violent. I mean, they're chopping limbs off and shooting people and stuff. So it's already violent. They just don't show any blood or anything, right? So you bring up a great point, Disney Plus. I think Disney Plus isn't gonna be the place it would land. I think it would be Hulu.
That's true. That's a great point. I'm glad that you brought that up because there's like pushback currently. I think this is down your lane as far as Marvel goes. Deadpool, as far as what they're going to do with that once the acquisition period is fully, because Fox currently has the rights to that, correct? But they're transitioning it as far as like it's soon going to come to either Hulu or Disney Plus. They just don't know yet.
It's Disney's for sure. That's a done deal at this point. I don't know if all the paperwork's done, but it's official. So it is a Disney property. But man, it just hurts me that I have to freaking go to Hulu to get to Deadpool if they do that. Because to me, if you're going to do that, I guess you already have the structure, but like YouTube and YouTube Kids. Okay. So as you guys know, I have a 2-year-old. I can pop open YouTube Kids and I feel somewhat safe that she's not going to get into crazy stuff. Now, I will admit that I look over her shoulder a lot because it freaks me out just letting her have free reign on YouTube, even YouTube Kids. But that's kind of how I feel about the Disney Plus thing, where I understand the sentiment of not wanting these R-rated properties on Disney Plus because you don't want your kids falling into that, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Just as me as an old consumer, I'm like, dadgummit, I don't want to have to freaking go to Hulu to see these different MCU properties. And I feel the same way about Star Wars. If they're like, they have a freaking section that says Star Wars, and then I have to go to Hulu to watch a movie, that would be dumb. And I would be very probably angry about it if I'm being honest. So
that's fair.
I fall in more in the camp of what you said of, I don't think they will do it. I really don't think they'll do that, but I wish they would. Just for us, right?
It's one of those things,
It's one of those things, like you said. I think with those guys at the helm, especially with Dave, what we're going to talk about here, a little preview of where he stands. He's very adamant that it's for kids. He's very strict. It feels like that even Mandalorian is starting to tiptoe the line of being too dark. And even Rogue One, right? We talked about Rogue One before. It's pretty freaking dark. So I feel like that might be as dark as we get, that and kind of Revenge of the Sith type stuff. But I don't know. Do you think it's a never? Do you think we'll never see a rated R property?
Never say never, but right now with our current regime of people that are in charge,
I tend to agree with you. Yes.
We're not going to see rated R anytime soon. But while you were talking, I did get confirmation Deadpool is already on Hulu. So if Star Wars was to go down the route of, for some reason, doing an R-rated project, it probably would end up being on Hulu, which, I don't really like that. I don't like going back and forth between the places. So I think I'm going to stick with, let's just not do an R-rated project, even though it would be cool to see, especially like a Sith styled, maybe the Acolyte
where my mind was Acolyte. I was like, could you think it wouldn't be rated R, but like TVMA or whatever you want to call it now. And it'd be dark and it'd be, oh, baby, that's exactly where my mind went, was Acolyte. When you asked this question, I was like, how sick would that be? Because rated R, again, doesn't mean it has to be vulgar or anything like that. It just opens up the realm of what they can do and the creativity of things.
Right.
But I at the end of the day, I think you're right. I think they won't. I don't think the higher ups would even let it happen, especially now with the sequel trilogy and we got a Mandalorian. I just don't see it in their cards. So
I completely agree with that. But I thought it was a really interesting topic for us to have because all of those projects that I mentioned, they're all rated R and they're number one streaming or theatrical right now for a reason. There's obviously a market for it. So
one of my favorite comic book movies of all time is Logan. If you like comic book movies and you're of age, right, you can handle a rated R because it's rated R now.
Yeah.
Like it's
No, I
pretty
have not
aggressive.
seen Logan. So
Oh, baby. It is so good. It was probably my movie of the year that year.
yeah, I've heard great things about
Oh my
Logan.
God, man. I have it. I'm gonna let you watch that because
Okay. Hey, I'll take that.
it's so good, man. But yeah, if they if that's the reason they do it, that's why I said rated R doesn't have to mean, dirty sex and stuff. It can just mean like aggressiveness that you can't do otherwise.
Yeah,
So
sure. Sure,
we'll see.
absolutely. Well,
Let us know
listen,
what you think.
guys, absolutely. And again, to check in or to participate in our polls, follow us at or on Twitter at Mando Talk, so you can vote in those polls. And like I said, or like I've said, it might not have been on air. We're gonna try to put these polls in our weekly episodes. So if you want to be reflected in our episode somehow, just by voting on a poll, go check that out and let us know again. Do you want to see an R-rated Star Wars project? Yes or no? Jump down in the YouTube comments, or Discord is a great place to do it. Okay. J.J. Abrams is our next piece of news. He was recently in an interview with Collider where he stated that, quote unquote, working on pre existing franchises is a double edged sword. Now, I am rocking, if you're not on YouTube, I am rocking a Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker t shirt in support of J.J. Abrams, despite the film's flaws. There's always some flaws here and there, but, I figured I'd show some love for JJ while we're talking about JJ this week. First thing that I wanted to do, well, first of all, if you want to go check out the full interview, go hop over to Collider. I'm sure they've got it somewhere, but we're just going to break down three of his direct quotes. And the first one is the one that I've already said. Well, I'll say that the opportunity to get to work on any pre existing franchise is definitely a double edged sword. Honestly, I think there's just pros and cons. I would love to work on a Star Wars project, but the negatives behind that is everyone is probably going to come at me as far as what I should do, how it should look, how it should land, and the list goes on. What do you think about that quote? Any other takeaways you want to add to that?
I would never want to be in that position. That's where I'll stand on that, because it's like being president. You ain't gonna make everybody happy, man. You just can't. And talk about pressure, And I, he. I'll just say touche to what he says because I'm out.
Yeah, fair, fair. All right, next quote that I wanted to specifically discuss, quote unquote, from JJ. While I'm incredibly grateful and proud to have been involved in the projects, of course, all I see is what things could have been and what we might have done. I think JJ, and this is what great professionals do, they look back on things that they've done before and they notice things that they wish they could redo. And I really wish I could get inside his brain and specifically see what he wants to change in specifically The Force Awakens, even though I love The Force Awakens. And definitely, I feel like there's probably more with The Rise of Skywalker. Thoughts on that?
I felt like you said, great professionals look back, but also great professionals know how to handle interviews. And this is a great way of him saying, hey, look, guys, I would have changed stuff too. Like it's not as easy as it seems. To me, he was blatantly saying Rise of Skywalker, but maybe that's just my bias.
Well, and but I also think maybe some Star Trek too.
Oh, yeah. You're probably right as well.
Because I know there, for me, I love, again, I know this is a Star Wars
whoa,
podcast.
Whoa,
Don't come at me, guys. I enjoyed JJ's Star Trek because, to be fair, a lot of Trekkies say that JJ's Star Trek was very Star Warsy. That's probably why I loved it so much.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I think
I'm
he was
not a big
involved with Mission Impossible as well.
Yeah, no, I think that was like his directorial debut, maybe. I don't know. He got in on Mission Impossible 3. I think he was in on that. And it may have revitalized the franchise, if I recall. That was before our time, I think, or we were young, but
maybe.
It's a great movie. Like it's a really good one. But yeah, he got on that. So go ahead.
Well, listen, again, it makes sense. He's grateful and proud to work on the stuff, but obviously, just like we would if we were in that position, looking back on it, there's things that we as fans wish had gone different. I think it's great to see that JJ is kind of in that same mindset. Last quote that I wanted to discuss here from JJ's interview: the few things that I'm working on now as a writer are original ideas. I just feel as a director, I really would love to have my next projects be things that didn't pre-exist me necessarily. My big takeaway from that, just to get it out there, I think this is a nail in the coffin, 100% proof. JJ is not coming back to Star Wars. I think
Yeah.
he is over that period of his career, even if they come at him with a big bucks. And I don't think they're even going to do that at this point. I think they've moved on now. He's not coming back, which I, I think we've voiced it before. We like JJ. We like his work. The Force Awakens was great. The Rise of Skywalker, he tried to maybe save things that a lot of fans didn't like, which, okay, we might go down a rabbit hole here for a second. I personally think that if JJ had stuck to the Last Jedi's decisions, that maybe we would have looked back on the Last Jedi and appreciated it a little bit more.
Yes.
So you
Yes. Like, come on. We need to do like a deep dive. We need to call it the deep dive and do it about these movies, because we always touch on them and we don't get to dig in. All I'll say is there, we had that leaked. This is what the old Rise of Skywalker could have been.
Yeah.
Dude, like, if he would have just
talking about Colin Trevorrow's
Trevorrow's, the script leak. Sorry. If we would have got some of that stuff, it's like they had a thing and they were like, this thing sucks. We don't know. This thing sucks. Call JJ in like a week. We need a script in a week, and just get his buddy. Who's the other writer? Chris
Terrio.
Yeah,
Justice League writer.
Let's get in a room. And you guys just do it, right? We need Emperor back. Like, that's how I felt. And I say that in the frame of JJ. I felt bad for JJ because, he took it on. He's the director. It's on him, right? At the end of the day, he's the director. It's on him. However, I truly feel like he was just the guy who took the bullets for the other people. That's how I feel in this situation. Now, that may be controversial. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but
no, I don't know. I'd have to think on that. I mean, part of me is just like, look, JJ, you did it. You had an opportunity to make it good, and it was kind of down the middle for me, at least. The Rise of Skywalker for me was a fun ride.
Yeah, I'm about to say, not a bad movie to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is a fun ride. But I know with Star Wars, as canon junkies, as fans, we want all these answers. The Palpatine thing is the biggest thing, I think, for a lot of us. And maybe we're fixing to get answers with that, with the Mandalorian and all these other things. But those are things that you got to answer in the films, like that hand getting cut off the comic book a couple weeks ago. You mentioned that's not something that you should save for a comic book. That's something that should be involved in the trilogy.
I know,
but yeah.
So
I don't know. I did like Trevorrow, or however you say his last name.
I think it's Trevorrow.
Right? I did like his original, like his script, at least reading it. Now, execution is a completely
different thing. That's
right. That takes me down the path of General Hux. And this was a thought of mine earlier this week. I think it was tweeted out. General Hux, for me, as soon as I saw The Force Awakens, I thought there's going to be this great dynamic between Kylo and General Hux, where there's two big baddies bumping heads with each other, and eventually Kylo is going to axe him. That's what I thought was going to happen. Hux became such a comedic relief that it was like not laughable in a good way.
It physically pissed me off. It was like, this is dumb. This is dumb, because he, even in Last Jedi, he tiptoed being ridiculous there, especially at the beginning when he's like, oh, what's going on? And he like slams him into the ground. And he's dragging him around and stuff. I was just like, okay. But at the end, when Kylo's just like, more, and he like slam Hux into the wall or something?
He throws him into the wall. Yeah.
Pull on that thread, JJ. Come on. Dude, that would have been awesome. We would have had the Sith side and the actual like Empire type, military side. Oh, dude.
Well, and it's just, and maybe we should, again, I think we do need to do a deep dive into these things.
We do, man. But yeah.
But
Sorry.
anyway, no,
Like
no,
you
no.
said, that's a deep rabbit hole we could go down here, and we don't mean to take you guys down the rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you have feelings on this too.
we're just
We're Star
we're
Wars
just
fans.
naturally flowing with this conversation, man. You never know where it's going to go,
You
and
never
especially
know.
when you bring up J.J. Abrams, the sequel trilogy, The Last Jedi, and
Yeah,
everything else
we're
that
gonna be
comes with it.
talking hours on that, you know.
So
So
you know what? Let's just pause there. Regardless, J.J. Abrams speaking about working on pre-existing franchises. We know for us, as soon as we hear that, he's talking about Star Wars. Obviously, that's the one that's freshest. But obviously, he has worked on Star Trek, Mission Impossible. So he's got other franchises that he's done before. I would make the argument though that Star Wars is definitely the biggest of those three,
yeah, I mean
in my
100%.
opinion.
I
So
think the numbers back you up on that.
yeah.
I
So
think
it's nice to see him reflecting. It's nice for him to see or to say at least that he wishes he could go back and maybe tweak some things. I don't know. It's just one
I,
of those things that we have to be okay with and just move on from. Honestly, that's where I'm at. Like, I know the sequels have negatives, but I'm just kind of ready to move on and
I
enjoy the
agree.
positive stuff that we've got now.
And I think it's going to end up being very prequelish for, you know, I think it was last week, I talked about Avery and Ray and the outlook of the kids. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be very prequely when we're older, because I think we're going to look back on Force Awakens and see just how much fun it is and how much like just adrenaline pumping it is and
Agreed.
nostalgia. And I think we're going to look at Last Jedi and be like, oh, dude, all the Rey and the Kylo stuff was sick, and Luke finally saving them. That's sick. You know, we're not going to,
Mm.
I don't know. I think we're going to get this hazy effect. I hope we do. And I just am ready as well to just be able to accept them for what they are. They're not freaking rewriting them or whatever people are asking for.
Yeah.
They are what they are.
Retconning.
Retconning. They're gonna try to flesh it out with the animation and with Disney Plus. Okay, they've
I
already
think
shown
so.
us they're gonna do that with comic books too, and that's okay. Does that change the movies? No, but they are what they are. So let's just
Yep.
roll with what you like, and let's keep it going, you know? So going back to what we were talking about, I wanted to bring up one last thing. I'm happy to see that he is working on new stuff and it's
Mhm.
original stuff, because he's a great filmmaker. Okay. This dude
Yeah.
is legit. And I'm excited to hear he's not sticking to these franchises, simply because I want to see what he can do, what else he can do. Kind of the
Right.
same conversation we had about Ryan Johnson,
Mhm.
where amazing filmmaker. And if you let him really flex his muscles on a non pre-existing franchise, he can kill it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what JJ does.
I think so. So I'm excited to see JJ and Ryan to go in their own ways. But with this next news piece, I'm equally and more so
Oh yeah.
excited to see the direction of Lucasfilm. And that is this. Our next news is Dave Filoni is now listed as the executive creative director at Lucasfilm. Really fancy title name, but this from Variety, like literally a few hours or I don't know, maybe like half a day later, Variety came out with a report that had the following statement. Last summer, Lucasfilm quietly promoted the executive producer and frequent writer and director of The Mandalorian to executive creative director for the entire studio. A rep confirms with Variety, but the company didn't update its website with Filoni's new title until this week, which is when it began to percolate and then explode across Reddit and Twitter as if the promotion had just happened. So Filoni's been in this position for a while. This is just the first time that we are personally hearing about it. And yeah, just like Variety said, it exploded. Twitter was vibing. Everyone was like, oh, what a great move. I loved it. It was great to see. It's great to see the apprentice slowly and surely becoming the master. So I know you
And
were talking
earning it,
about,
right?
right, right. And you were talking about this last week where Filoni's climbing the ladder to maybe one day,
I could smell it.
maybe, maybe one day becoming the president of Lucasfilm. So here's my personal take on this title. I don't know if it necessarily means much, though. I feel like executive creative director is just a fancy way of saying you're doing a great job here as a pay raise. Keep doing your thing. I think it's one of those things where everything canon is probably going to run through him. But I think we've seen evidence of that occurring ever since season one of The Mandalorian. It's very clear that, I mean, if you look at it outside of the sequels, ever since Disney acquired Star Wars, Filoni's worked on every project. He's been a producer of The Mandalorian. He's been a producer of that Resistance animated show. He is now a producer of The Bad Batch. He's going to be producing all the other live action shows that they're putting out. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's great to see. Obviously, he's climbing the ladder, but I don't necessarily think the day to day of the business or of Lucasfilm has changed much. Obviously, since he's been doing it since the summer. Zach,
Yeah.
what do you think about this title given to Filoni and maybe the implications it has on the franchise moving forward?
Yeah. So if you're in our Discord, you've already heard me talk about this, but the way I took it was a little bit different than what Keller takes it as.
Okay,
I
great.
take it as, hey, Dave, we need a captain of the freaking ship, and we want you to be that captain. Okay. And what I mean by that is kind of what you were saying with the canon stuff, but also I feel like that just tells us he's going to be the litmus test. So when I go write a Star Wars story, I can go to Dave, pitch it to him, and he's going to tell us, yeah, that's a Star Wars story, or no, that is not Star Wars. And that's
Okay.
how I see that role. And again, it's just a title. It, of course, is a pay raise for him, I hope. And I do agree. One thing I will say, I hated that Variety dropped that because they like put a damper on it to
They kind of
me.
did. They were kind of like, it's really not news, whatever.
I know. That kind of pissed me off because Variety's like, we're Variety. We're gonna drop this. We
Flex
already
our
knew.
muscles.
We already knew about this. Twitter, just calm down. Like, we get it. You're Variety. That's cool. But you didn't have to drop it the next day. Like
Yeah.
that
Well,
pissed
I
me
think
off.
it was actually the same day. I
Okay,
think
maybe it was.
Filoni stuff came out in the morning, and I think Variety dropped it like late evening.
Because it's like someone was at Variety, like, oh my God, we got to tell them we knew about this. It's like, guys, just let us celebrate on Twitter. Reddit was blowing up. Like, I
Yeah,
was loving it.
really. I'm not on Reddit, so I'm not down
Oh
that
man,
lane.
I love Reddit so much, but you gotta be careful. But it's just Twitter with a lot more nerds,
Oh,
right?
sounds like my kind of place then.
It is. It's awesome. I love Reddit so much. But um, long story short, I love this. Keep going, Dave. Keep doing your thing. I
Yeah.
saw a quote on Reddit, and it made not. I always like to check my source, and I'll be honest, I did not check to see if he actually said this quote, but he was talking about his role with Kathleen Kennedy. Did you see this quote?
I think I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah. And where he's basically being honest and saying, I want to do live action, but
Mm,
I have no experience with
experience.
it.
Yeah.
And I loved reading that and seeing him kind of expose that. I believe it was from The Art of Mandalorian. I
Yes,
believe
you're
is
right.
what it was.
That's what Twitter said, at least.
That's right. Again, I didn't check that, but just wanted to throw that out there that he, man, he just knows what to say, and he seems like a genuine dude. I
Yeah.
just like, he seems like a dude I just want to give a hug, like, thank you, Dave. You're doing a good job. You're keeping all of us together and happy. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to keep killing it. Like I said before, season 2, he was way better than the season 1 Dave, director wise. And
Right.
he did the Ahsoka episode. He wrote it, directed it, and it was sick. And now
Yeah.
we're on Bad Batch, and it's way better than it deserves to be.
Yeah.
So,
Now, you bringing up that quote. Sorry, I
mhm.
didn't mean to cut you
No.
off.
I was just gonna say, I don't think he's writing all of Bad Batch. Is that right? They have different
Correct.
writers. He's
Correct. They
just
do. They do.
producing it
Right.
and directing, I think, of some of them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Um,
Sorry.
no, you're good. So what I was thinking though, while you were bringing up that Kathleen Kennedy quote,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about it last week. You might not like the sequels, but Kathleen Kennedy is directly involved, and the reason why Filoni is the position that he's at now. Like that quote says, Filoni wouldn't have been put into that TV live action spot if it wasn't for Kennedy making that
That's
decision.
right. and she gets a lot of heat now, well deserved at some points.
Yeah,
but you guys got to remember, she's the one making the call on this stuff.
and
We would
she's the
not
one
have
that makes the
Mandalorian.
call. Yeah,
We
she's the
wouldn't have
one.
Dave.
She's the one that makes the call on executive creative director of Lucasfilm.
Boom.
Let's make that Dave Filoni.
Boom. She's the one that says, hey, Dave, you want to do live action? I'm going to hook you up and you got to prove yourself. It's just, that's another sign. That's why she's there. Right.
Well, and I think she's learning after the sequels. And we talked about with JJ, I think she's looking back on the sequels and she's realizing things that she needed to do. She needs someone that knows the canon. Dave Filoni's that guy.
Yeah.
She will handle the business of it. She'll get the cast members, the producers, the people that you want there. She'll get them. Dave, you're the canon guru. You make sure that this is Star Wars, and I fully trust you. I think if Kathleen Kennedy keeps going down that lane, she'll have no problem. She'll have nothing but success as far as the president of Lucasfilm goes.
I sent you that gif of like Birdman where he's like that gif. That's how I feel with everything you just said. Like, because it just gets me so excited. I love seeing this, and I can't wait to see what else they do in the future. And I can't wait to see how much Dave has influence on other shows like Acolyte, like Ahsoka. You know he's going to be all over that one, right? So you know what I'm saying, but all the other stuff too, like that anime style
Visions.
One. Visions. Like, what's his role in that? We'll probably never really know, but I would love to see like what he's doing with that and how he's able to flex his muscles, and we're seeing it in the Bad Batch, right? They're dipping their toe into these little canon Easter eggs that you brought up, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
But and talking about new stuff, right?
Yeah. Do it, man.
So the fourth one we got, last one, I believe, is from Variety again. Of course,
same article.
Same article. Just a little nugget in there.
In parentheses, like it wasn't a big deal, by the way.
Again, this is Variety just going, hey, you Star Wars nerd. You know, it's like, come on. This is huge news. Rangers of the New Republic is not currently in active development. Keller, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I think this is in direct response, unfortunately, to the Gina Carano situation. I think it was very evident that Cara Dune was probably going to be the lead of that series. And I don't know if they know what to do with the show. So for me, though, when I hear this, when it says, quote unquote, is not currently in active development, I tried to be positive with it, but I don't see it happening. I don't see this show ever seeing the light of day. I just don't think it's going to happen at this point. Usually when it hits not currently in active development, it's probably going to stay there a while. And that means it's probably not going to happen, which bums me out. I've voiced it before. I love the character of Cara Dune. I thought that character had great potential. And we saw in season 2 with that X-Wing pilot giving her that badge. I felt like that was a direct tease of there's more to her that's 100%. Outside of the Mandalorian. And I thought that this Rangers of the New Republic show was going to be it. And unfortunately, I just think that's the situation that we're at. So I'm not surprised, to answer your direct question. I'm not surprised.
Now
I am kind of disappointed, I guess.
And things that, you know, we kind of have, you know, talked about here, some reasons to worry potentially. Number one, it was probably going to be Cara Dune, right? Cara Dune.
Hey, either way,
hot take for me. I don't love the character.
Really? Okay.
I think she's kind of boring. And I think it's just Gina Carano is not a very good actress. Let's just call a spade. She's not the best. And
I thought that she progressed from season 1 to season 2.
Fair. But we only saw her for like 5 seconds in season 2.
And her presence as far as action goes, you can't beat that. But it would be pretty tough for her to lead an entire show.
That's where I'm going with that.
With her acting chops.
I think I don't want to see her lead a show. And that's harsh. But that's just where I stand. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I want to tell you, you know, how I feel. And that's how I feel. I don't want to see her lead Rangers of the New Republic.
Mhm.
What I want out of Rangers of the New Republic is you get us to like another character and keep it fresh and go, oh, baby, we're mixing up with a Mandalorian with this new female character. That's great. Have her be this female character. Keep it going and just don't let it be Cara Dune. Let it be someone else. That's what I wish to see out of this. But answering my own question to you, I read that as dead.
DEAD.
Yeah. DED dead. That's how I read that. Because
I think so too.
I was very on the fence about it in the first place, and then all that crap happened, and I just don't see how they're gonna do it. Now, I wanted to bring up one last thing here: reasons to not worry, right? So, we were never really attached to specific characters, right? And that goes back to what I was saying about Cara Dune, where she's okay as a side character. She's fine. She's a great, what's the word I'm looking for? Piece of the Mandalorian, like next to Mandalorian, where he's the lead and she's the side character. She's
there you go.
I don't know how to. There's a word I'm looking for I can't find, and I think she fits that role perfectly, but not a lead.
I can see that.
I do think that there's potential in this next point that they may just be buying time to rewrite it and figure it out and go, all right, she's out. We've announced the show. There is hype around it still, I feel like. How can we make it work? And the last part would be Favreau and Filoni are just preoccupied, right? They are pretty freaking busy. So maybe that is on the lineup still, and Variety just tossed it in there to get us talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, because apparently we have beef with Variety here tonight.
I got beef on you trying to kill the vibes. That's what I got beef on. Like, come on, Variety. You guys know I drop my hot takes. I got no filter around here.
No, you're good,
come on.
man.
I ain't mad. I'm just letting the listeners and viewers know what's going on. They know. All right, that's all I got on that last point. Okay. So for everyone listening, we're gonna get into Bad Batch episode 4, Cornered spoiler review. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it right now. Pause us. If you're driving, don't watch it. But get home, watch it, get back here, and hear what we think. Also, go on our Discord and let us know what you think. That's always a quicker way. So, Keller, I'm gonna bring up the poll on what the viewers thought.
Do that
at Mando Talk. Go check it out on Twitter if you want to join in. So we just asked the fans, what are your overall impressions of Bad Batch episode 4, Cornered? So 4% said it not for me.
I think we just have one or two or three people. It's like at that point, just clicking it every week.
Honestly. Not for me. Yeah. 27% say it's okay.
I think that's a big number compared to other weeks.
That's a big number. 18% said good but not great, and 50% say top tier. I'm just gonna drop my heater here.
Do it.
It ain't top tier for me. Where I voted on this poll is it's okay. And I know I'm kind of getting to the point of our thoughts, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I walked away from it like cool, but
yeah.
Like that's how I feel. What do you think?
No, I'm gonna echo your take there. I as well voted it's okay. And that's not necessarily a negative thing. There's great things in this episode. Not every single episode of the Bad Batch has to be top tier, or it doesn't have to just blow us away.
That's right.
But I mean, it could have been more, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's the Bad Batch. It's an animated show. Me knowing how the Clone Wars and how Rebels is, I mean, you're going to have episodes like this. But here's my biggest reason why I said it's okay. And this is 2 episodes back to back now where we've got issues with the ship, where we have to land somewhere, fix it, and we have this little side mission that occurs because we get into issues, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that plot line is kind of getting used a lot. But again, I'm not trying to be too negative. But yeah, I did vote for. It's okay.
Yeah. But I
It's
mean,
fine.
that, and it's getting in my psyche now because when I get done with the show, I'm like, where am I going to vote on the poll? So that's where I sat when I finished the show, and I sat on it, and I rewatched it.
Mhm.
And I think it's okay. And we're going to get into the points and go through a full episode review
Yeah.
here. I'll let you take over for that. But I just think it's okay. And I think almost a lot of it for me is that I wish the episodes were longer. I wish episode 3 and episode 4 were one episode. That is kind of where I'm starting to feel like with these 20. Again, I'm not super familiar with Rebels and Clone Wars, so I'm not used to the shorter episodes. So I think that definitely has a bias for me, or I'm not used to it.
Mhm.
But I just feel like they're so quick, and they're very base level for me. Like this episode specifically, I thought was awesome in the plot. Like if I read the plot, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're on a planet, and Phoenix coming after them. It's like, oh, that's sick. But in execution, I was just kind of bored with it. I don't know. Let's get into it.
No, those
And
those are
we'll
all
dig in.
fair. Those are all fair takes. So let us dive deep
Yeah.
into this episode. Let's pull out the things that we really enjoyed. Let's maybe see if we can discover something. Maybe find things that we didn't like. And first of all, before we dive into it, you let us know what you thought of the episode. If you thought it was top tier, great. If you thought it was good but not great, great. If you thought it was okay,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. And if it's not for you, okay. Like,
Great, man.
hey, we just want to hear your thoughts, because your opinion's
Yeah.
your opinion, and we're gonna just talk about ours, and we want to hear what yours is. So
Yeah, so let's do this. The first thing that comes up in the episode, the Bad Batch is really struggling without Republic support as far as fuel, resources, food, like all these things that they're just so accustomed to not necessarily maybe having to worry about so much. They're suddenly having to worry about, especially now that their ship's been flagged, which is why they have to stop suddenly on this planet, Pantora, where Fennec Shand is then informed of their location on that planet. Now, I did say this in the quick takeaway spoiler discussion on YouTube on Friday. Pantorans are those individuals that George Lucas actually played back in the back of a scene in Revenge of the Sith. So cool little canon connection there. Zach, first of all, I'll ask you this.
no idea.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
No idea. I knew when they were
Were you
dropping these
aware?
planets, dropping these names, I was like, Keller's over there just writing down where what minute of movie this is coming from.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll take note of the name, and then when we talk about it, he'll tell me what it means, because I knew you were gonna know, and I'm happy to hear you prove me right. But no, I didn't know. That's amazing. That's Dave Filoni saying, I'm the executive creative director, and we're putting it on Pantora. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But
Now,
yeah.
I do have a random question for you. When you hear Pantora and you see blue people, what do you think of, possibly? Do you think of anything?
I think of Avatar.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. I think that's what a lot of people, when they hear Pantora and they see blue people, I think people probably immediately go to Avatar. So cool, I guess, connection there.
I think of Pandora's box, if that's what I'm being honest with you. Okay. I think of Pandora's box. I was just like, oh, Pandora. Okay, let's do it. But yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, listen, this is one thing that maybe I'm looking too much into, just like this whole Omega is force sensitive thing. I know last week, the big thing that Star Wars fans were going crazy about was Wrecker hitting his head. Now, for me, and this might have just been me, so shoot me down if you don't feel the same way. Wrecker he's on edge, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just me diving in too much into it. He might seem a little on edge at the beginning of the episode, complaining about all these different things. Is the inhibitor chip already messed up a little bit? I don't know. Did you see it that way? Am I trying to find something just like I'm trying to find Omega being force sensitive or not?
I won't shoot you down because you may be right. I didn't think about it.
Uh-huh.
However, I don't think we are exaggerating him hitting his head because he does it again, right?
True.
She
Yeah, let's just
slams
go
his
ahead and talk
head.
about that.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but
No, do it.
perfect segue. She hits him and knocks his helmet off and knocks him out.
Right.
So that's
More
another
head
time
damage.
that he gets a head slap.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. It's every time now that I'm on alert. I'm like, okay, Wrecker's in a fight. Oh, he hit his head. I'm like, I'm waiting for him to like rise up and be clone Wrecker.
Like zombie almost.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, all right, I'm bad now. That's honestly what I'm waiting on. And
Okay.
I kind of hope they do it, but
see,
I'm Sith over here.
I'm still leaning toward nothing's gonna come out of that personally. I think it's just one of those things that's just happening that all of us are going crazy about,
no
really
shot,
for
man.
no reason.
No shot. They
really?
It has to be something. They called it out last episode. They zoomed in on his head and said, Pete. Like, come on now. And then this episode, they have his helmet flying off and her. Well,
Yeah.
It was actually hilarious to me that he's like, "Rah!" And she's just like, bah, and like got him.
That was my
cool.
next question. Are we okay with how easily Finnick just KOs him? I mean, this big, huge wrecker.
I am.
I
think I am because I just think it's funny to me, honestly, because it two things. It's character for her to show that she's BA, right? Like she's awesome.
Assassin.
Yeah, exactly. But it also shows that I would like to think that if this big burly guy was coming at a ninja type assassin, that she would do that.
True.
And also, does it lean into the fact that he's getting inhibited by something? I don't know.
Man, so I'm latching on to Omega Force sensitive.
Yeah.
And you're latching on to Wrecker going.
Oh, I'm hashtag all in on that because that dude, something's going to happen with that. It's going to come to a head.
I hope you're right. I'm just still not following in that, man.
When it happens, I'm going to start the show like this.
Do it. That's fair. Okay, listen, the next thing in the episode, the city, as far as when all those Imperial clone troopers are arriving, they're just pumped, man.
Dude, I loved it.
And yeah, that's the biggest thing I know that you're enjoying the most with the Bad Batch. This is really the most Imperial thing that we get from the episode. So I just wanted to ask you real quick, what were your thoughts on that?
I loved that scene. It is so double-sided for us because we know everything. Like, it's so dark in a way to me. Mm-hmm. So Nazi-y, right? We keep bringing up the Nazi influence of the Empire. These people just don't know. We've talked about it before. They are not Jedi and they're just civilians. So to them, yes, the war is over. We have a new society is what I would call it. Really, is this new empire's coming in. Things are going to get better. There's not bombings on the street and crazy stuff anymore. Yay, go Empire. And I loved it. I freaking loved it because it was such a quick scene. They didn't stay on it. And Hunter, was it Hunter who was like, something's off or this is weird? Was it Hunter that said that or was it?
I can't remember if it was him or Echo.
It may have been Echo. I can't remember, but yeah, no, I love that scene. Give me more.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I know the Empire stuff. I wasn't necessarily on board with it, but the past couple of episodes has got me really intrigued with seeing how the early stages of the Empire get started.
And I love that they're bringing it up. Like they didn't have to show any of that, and I love that they're doing it because it's the perfect medium and time to do it.
Right, and it's just a small little plug that it's just and even though it wasn't big in this episode, like it has been in previous ones, they're still reminding us of it, and I think that's smart because so far. I think that's been the best part of the show, at least 100%. Personally. Okay.
100%.
Speaking of Echo, I think was the comedic relief for this week's episode. He was sold for 3,000 credits. He thought he was worth it. Well, he didn't think he was worth at least 4,000. He just thought he was worth more
than 2,000. Right.
So,
I thought it was making me laugh. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed that aspect, and I loved his little gear there that made him look like a droid. I thought that was pretty sick. I need that helmet in the studio that he was
Yeah, it was
rocking.
sick. And it was a good idea because when he was dressed up and I'm like, oh, he's going to be a droid. It's freaking brilliant.
Really? You got
Yeah.
that right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was like, oh, dude, it's brilliant. I mean, he's got that crazy arm and that stuff. I was like,
True.
that's sick. Great
Yeah.
idea because he looks weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in the Star Wars world, but I think it was a good call for them. And I was cracking up at the scene because he's like, I'm worth more than freaking 2,000 credits. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, while all of that was going on, Omega was doing her thing where she was exploring, and this is where Fennec Shand comes into play. Fennec basically just kidnaps her casually, just walks her down the street. Who knows what she was going to do with her or where she was going to take her. I'm sure just to her ship, and we'll get to that. We'll get to where maybe
That's
she
right.
might be going to, but that leads to this cool little duke it out sesh between Hunter and Fennec. I thought that was really cool. Not much action, but I know I'll give this shout out here. Rebel Scum Texan was all about his knife use.
Yeah. Over in the
Hunter's
Discord. Yeah, man.
Hunter's a great fighter.
Yeah, I love knife stuff. I'm a sucker for, anyways. Like Falcon, Winter Soldier. You know me, talking about Marvel. The freaking Winter Soldier has some awesome knife antics, and I love seeing Hunter with a knife because we see all this crazy tech and these guns and these lightsabers, and he's got a knife. He's got a sharp object and he does work with it. And I love it. But I also love that she kept up, like she like blocked it or whatever. And then they kept duking it out and she like flicks it around and gets it on him. I thought that was sick.
It was a great little like pre-fight to their bigger fight later.
Right. This was like the backbone of the episode, right?
Right.
Is their kind of fight. But I thought it was a great great episode to get us or a great moment to get us into who Fennec is. Because if you by chance haven't seen Mandalorian, you just know of this person who sounds like Mulan, and you're like, wait a second, who is this person? So I thought that was a great little scene, and her being so nice with Echo, or sorry, not Echo,
Omega.
Omega. Yeah, sorry.
Omega. Have we decided what it is yet? Have we decided?
I think it's Omega. I think it's Omega, unless you ask Omega and then it's Omega. But no, I think it's what?
Rekka.
Oh, Rekka.
It's not
Rekka.
Yeah,
that's
Rekka.
right. Rekka.
Omega.
And I love seeing Wrecker like kind of buck up, like you don't touch her. Yeah. I thought that was cool. Great character moment as well.
Right. So Omega and Fennec kind of get away for a second, and I think I'm remembering this correctly. Omega runs off, Fennec goes after her, and we see the law enforcement basically fly by. Now, this is me stretching a little bit just to get your thoughts. Typically in Rebels, Rogue One, Solo, the projects that we've seen in between this time frame, we see Imperials enforcing the law. But here in this early stage of the Empire being created, we still see locals enforcing the law. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I'm just trying to dive into the Imperial stuff because I know that's your favorite part.
I won't lie. I didn't think about it, but you're right that they were just like local cops. It seemed like at least. And no, that's a great call out because it would make sense that in this time they wouldn't have total control yet. I mean, they would have a lot, but great call out right there. And I love seeing that because it would make sense. These people are duking it out in the streets with knives and guns and stuff. There would be some sort of police presence. And I always like that in the scenes, it keeps it hot, keeps it active. But I thought it was cool. And that's a great call out. I did not think about that.
Yeah. I just wanted to quickly mention that because I mean, that's just a thought that I had. And again, I know that's kind of your favorite thing. So wanted to see if, we had additional thoughts there. But anyway, keeping going with the episode, Tech didn't really do much this episode. However, he keeps an eye on Omega through security cams and things like that. Echo and the maintenance droids go back to fix the ship while Wrecker and Hunter attempt to save Omega. And that's where this big scene and really the best scene of the episode starts occurring. We get the Attack of the Clones speeder chase. I thought it was really cool. This is the best part of the episode, just point blank. And it's really why I'm saying this week's is just okay. Because action is great, don't get me wrong, But as far as the series goes, I'm more interested in like character development, this Empire stuff that we're seeing. But really, just this chase was really it as far as this episode goes, and that's why I
Yeah.
keep landing back on the it was
If you,
okay.
I agree with you 100%. Because if I'm looking back on the episode, I say we got introduced to Fennec Shan. She's looking for Omega.
Yep.
Okay. You know what I
And
mean? Oh, go ahead.
and we get a little tease possibly of who she could be working for. I mean, she talks to the person, but we don't know who it is. So
I mean,
let's just go ahead and get to that, man.
technically, we have no idea. I mean,
Right.
we
Zero idea.
they give us
Zero.
no anything. She talks into the
Exactly.
little communicator, and that's it. But who could it be? Who's your take? Give it
Well,
to
I
us.
know
Get it right the first time, and so we can go on.
Okay. So as I was watching it a second time, I had a really, really interesting, but probably not going to happen prediction.
Okay.
Bear with
Jabba the Hutt.
me. Negative.
Okay.
So in Clone Wars season 7, we see Darth Maul discussing with Dryden Voss, Vision, Paul Bettany from Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Think it could, and Crimson Dawn in Solo is obviously building up. I think it could possibly a Darth Maul connection here. Maybe she's working in Crimson Dawn Syndicate. I don't know. I'm trying to make a really crazy connection there with getting Darth Maul involved with the show because we know Maul is still alive and well because he escapes at the end of the final season of the Clone Wars. And we know this is currently basically a continuation of that storyline. Let's call it how it is. So I would love to see Darth Maul be incorporated that way. I just don't. I mean that's going to be my prediction. I don't think it's going to happen though.
And I won't. I commend you for having that prediction because I really just don't know. It could be. One part of me says it's potentially like the Empire trying to get her back because of the clone stuff. But again, I have no idea who this could be, and I am excited to find out. It may be as simple as that, but if it's Darth Maul, that'd be awesome. Like if it's a criminal underworld type situation here, I want to know why she's after her. There's a reason that they want her or want her back or whatever, right? So I'm really interested to see that. And I think this episode would have done more for me if they would have given us a little bit more to work with on that, where it was just she pops up, she's looking for Omega, didn't get her at the end. Like I kind of wish we would have saw, one of the like holograms or just the little hologram ones, you see in their ship, which are like really cool. I think that would have been cool to see like something like that, but we'll get there. They're gonna answer it. I feel like.
I think it's just one of those slow burn situations. Now I do think, let me give my most likely answer. It's probably just the Empire. Obviously the Empire wants her back, or maybe the Kaminoans. We have finally learned how to correctly pronounce that, by the way. Thank you, Rebel Scum Texan again.
Kaminoans.
The Kaminoans might have done it though, because they mentioned in the previous episode that they need. Am I still saying that wrong? Kaminoans?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let me check. Now we got inside our own brains.
Well, they mentioned in the previous episode that they need a special clone to come back so they can make their new superior clone to stay relevant for the Empire. So it would make sense for the Kaminoans, unless Zach corrects me, for them to hire a bounty hunter or an assassin. Okay, good. It would make sense for them to hire somebody to get Omega. So it's either the Empire trying to get Omega, or it is the Kaminoans. But as I was saying that, I'm leaning toward the Kaminoans. It would make more sense for them to want her back.
That was where my most likely went. Was Kaminoans. I think it could be them. It could be the leader guy. Like, oh, we got to get her back. But the only pause I have with that is when the other like her person she was following around lets her leave with them, right? She like protects them as
That's true.
so what, or is she just protecting her, like actually protecting her and want her back now? Or did she not tell her boss and her boss is like, we got to get her back? So that's where I lean the most likeliness of it. I said Empire, which is a chance, but it really just may be the Kaminoans.
I think I think so. Listen, we are not good at pronouncing these
Hey,
Star Wars names sometimes.
yeah,
So
you're
hey,
getting us,
you're
like I
getting
said,
us real.
this is real,
we're
baby.
real.
Like last week when you saw me like freeze frame, that's real, baby. We got to
Yeah.
keep it going. Sorry, go ahead.
I do have one other question though. Do you think this is gonna connect her to Boba Fett somehow?
Great question. You just put me on the spot.
Okay, I'll while you think,
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I'll just say yes. I mean,
yes.
he's
Okay.
got to be a part of it, right? I mean,
so here's the connection I think that's going to be made is I think eventually they're just going to cross paths as all bounty hunters do. I don't think it's him being like the one communicating with her though. I think it's just one of those natural things.
Oh, you're saying cross paths with Fennec or with Omega?
Sorry. Boba and Fennec are going to cross paths at some point.
Oh.
But
in the show,
you're saying Boba's going to cross with Omega.
I was saying
maybe.
Wow.
Oh,
I think that would be sick.
Yeah.
But again, I don't see it happening. But I mean, that'd be cool. I don't know. Where does Boba at this point?
It's a great question. We don't know.
I don't know. He's like growing up, right?
Is it possible for Boba to be the DNA that they need since it's Jango's son? Or they need a special clone, correct?
I'm not up on my clone requirements.
We need Jacob. We need Jacob here, man.
Yeah.
He'd be able to answer these questions.
Let us know in the comments. Tell us, or Discord, whichever one you're on. Tell us about the clone requirements of Boba and Jango Fett. Because I want to know. I make a joke, but this is awesome stuff. So
absolutely. Well, listen, I'll go ahead and make this prediction for next week. The Ida Floor planet that Hunter mentions at the beginning of the episode, the uninhabited planet, I think that's where they're going to go next because obviously he had that goal to go there in the first place, but they had to stop. So I think we're going to see that planet. I don't believe we've seen that planet before, so it's going to be completely new. Now, we are still in that, or for me at least, because I love Captain Rex, I'm still in that mindset of when we're going to see him, when we're going to see him, when we're going to see him. It would make sense for an uninhabited planet for Rex to be hiding out on. So I think there's potential that we see Rex, but I'll leave that for the listeners to decide. If you think we're going to see Rex next episode, let us know. If you think it's going to be something that we wait for, let us know that as well. Jump down in the YouTube comments or again, hop over to Discord, have some conversations with us in the spoiler thread for the Bad Batch. We're having a lot of fun having discussions with that. Sure.
And what I think on that, I'll throw out my prediction. If they just land on an inhabited planet and run into Rex, I think I'm going to be like,
come on.
All right. Be like, come on. There's a whole planet and you landed next. I don't know. Just give me something. Be like, oh, we're getting a signal or, oh, we're getting an encoded blah, 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 blah.
Message.
Yeah, just something like that. I think would be sick. But I'm excited. I want them to, he kind of states there in the episode, like, who is this person? We need to find out who this person is. I hope they work on that, and I hope they dig into that character too, because I think Fennec is a sick character, and I can't wait to learn more about her as well.
Yeah, agree. And we're definitely not done with Fennec, and I can't wait to continue to see her.
I thought she looked. Oh, you go ahead. Go I think she looked nothing like her.
Yeah, her
real life person. I gotta say that too.
Her look does look kind of off, but
nothing like.
I had seen a picture of her like a few months ago, so I was already aware of kind of what her look was going to be, so it didn't really take me back any.
Like I knew who it was, and I was like, nah, that ain't her. But nitpick. I just wanted to throw that out there because the whole time I was seeing her, I was like, yeah, no, this isn't her. But okay, sounds like her.
That's fair. Well, listen. That covers the episode, unless Zach, you have anything you want to add. Because I mean, like like I said in the quick takeaway, there's not much meat to the bone as far as canon stuff goes
Yeah.
here.
I think that's why it's an okay one.
We
Because
had a
there's just
speeder chase and we had Fennec Shan and Wrecker hitting his head again. I mean, that's about it.
and we had some, yeah, Empire, yeah. That was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's why I said at the beginning of this, very base level kind of stuff for me. And where last week we were really getting into character development and digging in, and this episode we're getting just some cool visuals and hey, look, there's a bounty hunter after us. There's always a bounty hunter after you in Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah.
If you have your own show, you got a bounty hunter coming after you.
True. Well, let me ask you this to finish off our episode 4 cornered recap review spoiler discussion. Are you, because obviously you have said it's just okay. Are you worried at all as far as the show goes? Or are you just kind of like, I get that this is just the level of the Bad Batch. I'll just enjoy the ride.
Great question. I think I am not worried yet. No,
okay.
I think this is just it wasn't near bad enough for me to go, oh God, we're off the rails. I think it was just a TV show episode for me. It was the most TV-ish episode yet for me, where I was just walked away. I was like, It didn't get me excited for next week, or more excited, I should say. It didn't leave me at the edge of my seat. It didn't do any of those things I want out of an episode, like last week or episode 1, like talk about an episode.
Yeah.
It just left me like,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'll be honest, I was very excited to hear what you had to say, because I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer on the episode. So I'm happy we're kind of, level.
Yeah. Now, for me, and I wanted to ask you that first, because obviously I have the familiarity of knowing what the Clone Wars and Rebels flows like. And this is right in line with it. That's why I'm not even close to worried personally, because they have episodes like this sometimes where it's very basic. We have to remind ourselves this is an animated TV show for kids on Disney Plus. However, they have kind of got us adults going crazy with that crosshair scene where he just murks some people. That was definitely not childlike, but hey.
Yeah, we talked about that. Like, whoa, like this dude's just murking people. And that was cool. And I want to see him lean into that a bit more. I don't know how much more you can get into that with kids show stuff, kind of going back to what we were talking about, but I don't know, man. I don't think it's anywhere near off the rails yet. I'm excited for next week. I didn't mean to sound like I wasn't excited, but this didn't get me more excited. I will say that.
That's a great way to put it. Well, listen, that covers our show. We got through all those news pieces. We got through the Bad Batch episode 4 corner review. So again, I'm going to come back to this just because I'm honestly curious to our listeners. Do you like this format that we're currently covering, Star Wars as a whole? Like, do you enjoy us doing all of the topics, the news topics at the beginning, and then hitting the Bad Batch episode? If you like that, or just let us know in the Discord or in the comments. Either way, just let us know somehow if you enjoy it, or do you think maybe we should try to split it up? Because I'll just go ahead and be honest. We're considering possibly splitting it up because, we talked about earlier, we could really dive deep into that J.J. Abrams thing.
It's only going to get more news because we got more stuff coming out. So we wanted to take it to you guys. And if you're still listening, then, you're legit, first of all. But we thank you for sticking around. And we want to hear really what you guys think, because you're the ones that are really listening. And just let us know in the comments.
We're here to please you, not ourselves.
At the end of the day, like, we could do this off air, right? We want to do this with you together, and we want you guys to benefit the most out of it. So does that mean the way we keep doing it and you can just skip forward ahead? If we're being honest, that's what I do. Or would you want to see 2 different, news and then spoiler? Would you want us to flip flop? Let us know what you guys think, and we will try our best to accommodate what we believe is the best. And just let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Well, listen, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Mando Talk. Hit the Discord link to continue to have conversations with us. Zach, I appreciate you being here yet another week. It was great to have you.
I have nothing to say other than thank you for having me. I love Star Wars, and I can't wait to talk to you next week again.
Absolutely. And hopefully, we'll have some more awesome news pieces to discuss.
We will.
And hopefully, we'll have a top tier episode 5 of The Bad Batch. All right, we're going to get out of here. We hope you have a blessed week. And as always, we have spoken.